Hello everyone, and welcome to a brand new theory and speculation video. Today, I want to talk about the origin of the Gnoses, and why I think our sibling could be dead. I know this is one of my crazier ideas, so bear with me as I explain. Now, this video does contain spoilers for the quests listed on screen now, so if you haven't done those, you have been warned. With all that said though, let's get right into the video. Let's start off by discussing what we know about the Gnoses. A Gnosis is an item used by the 7 Archons of Teyvat to resonate with Celestia, with it also acting as proof of their status as an Archon. Furthermore, they represent the heavenly principles and the control they hold over Teyvat. According to Nahida, destroying a Gnosis may awaken the heavenly principles and attract their attention. As for how the Archons obtain their Gnoses, they were given out to those who emerged victorious in the Archon War over 2,000 years ago. Now, a vision is considered primitive to the power of a Gnosis. As such, a Gnosis can increase the power of an individual way more than a vision could. The Archons are all quite powerful without the help of their Gnoses, but they still do help. For example, after Zhongli willingly gave up his Gnosis to Signora, he says that he can no longer create Mora, meaning that the Gnosis likely gave him that ability. Also, it is unknown if an Archon can use a Gnosis of a different element. Dottore said that Nahida had no way to use the Electro Gnosis she took from Scaramouche in battle. However, she did use it along with her Dendro Gnosis to access the final memories of Rukkhadevata, so the exact limitations aren't clear here. Now, we recently learned quite an important piece of information regarding the Gnoses. During the Fontaine Archon quests, Skirk told Neuvillette that the Gnoses are the remains of the 3rd Descender. Of course, this must mean that the Descender is dead, but what if they're not? I know this sounds confusing and that this may seem a bit out there, but let me explain. As we know, Descender is the title given to those who come from outside of Teyvat. However, not all who come from beyond are Descenders. This is told to us in a note from Renee, located in the Narcissenkreis Ordo. Here, we are told that the title of Descender belongs only to wills that can rival an entire world. A Descender can also freely wield the elements, just like the Traveler can. As such, characters like Aloy are not Descenders, as even though she came from beyond Teyvat, she cannot freely wield the elements and relies on a cryovision. Anyways, as we know, the Traveler is the 4th Descender. Interestingly though, our sibling is not a Descender, and they even have records in Irminsul. These records claim that our sibling suddenly appeared in Conria, and we were told that this was because the heavens responded to the summoning. With our sibling being recorded in Irminsul, that eliminates the idea that they could be a Descender, right? Well, it's not that simple. The Traveler and their sibling crashed together on Teyvat, meaning they both came from beyond. Since they possess the same power, how could one be a Descender while the other isn't? Going back to Renee's note, the title of Descender belongs only to wills that can rival an entire world. So, for a sibling to not be a Descender, they would have had to lose their will at some point. Their will could have been taken by the heavenly principles, turning them into a husk of their former selves. After waking up in Teyvat, they would eventually side with the Abyss and the Abyss Order, hoping to overthrow Celestia. Interestingly, the power the Abyss sibling has is very similar to the power we see Skirk use later on, with both having themes of black holes. Of course, both reside in the Abyss, so this makes sense. Now, let's talk about how exactly our sibling's will could have been taken. In my opinion, I think this could have happened during our battle with the unknown god, shown at the very beginning of the game. However, this fight took place 500 years ago during the Cataclysm, so how could their will have been placed into the Gnoses, which were given out over 2,000 years ago? Well, the answer here would be Istaroth, the Shade of Time. In Raiden's second story quest, we witnessed how A was able to plant the sacred Sakura in Inazuma's past as a part of Makoto's plan. In the quest, A speculates that Makoto likely got help from Istaroth, as the whole situation revolved around time. Therefore, it wouldn't be out of the question for another loop to be created if Istroth took our siblings' will from the future to create the Gnoses. After all, Istroth is one of the 4 shades of the Primordial One, so she would answer to them. Early on, the Primordial One may have ordered Istroth to go to the future and take the will of a descender in order to create the Gnoses in the past. All of this may be why Istroth seems to be the most defiant of the shades. When Ankonomiya fell beneath the waters, Istroth was the only one of the 4 shades to lend a hand to the stranded humans. Her mission to retrieve a descender's will may have shaken her faith in the Primordial One, causing her to help people no matter what. As for why she would have chosen to take the will of our sibling, they awoke first when we reached Teyvat. After they awoke, they would travel to Khaenri'ah, where they would eventually witness the Cataclysm firsthand. Knowing that they would likely be more defiant, the unknown god would have given our siblings' will to Istaroth to send back in time. Even without their will, our sibling is still incredibly defiant. While they may not have known the truth when they woke up after their fight with the unknown god, they certainly found out by the time they reached the end of their journey with Dainsleif. After this, they would join the Abyss Order in hopes of finding a way to take down Celestia. Still, with all of this said, we don't know why their history is recorded in Irminsul. It may have been added when their will was taken, either as a side effect or a preventative measure. This history would only stretch back to the time they spent in Teyvat, which is why the records start when they appeared in Khaenri'ah. Additionally, we are told that the records become fuzzy at the end of our sibling's journey. Perhaps this is when our sibling regained their original power, allowing them to somewhat challenge the world again. Still, without their will, they may not be able to take down Celestia alone, which could be why they joined the Abyss Order. As for why the Fatui didn't list our sibling as a descender, they may just not have a way to figure out the true identity of the 3rd descender. After all, if the power of the 3rd descender was sent to the past by Istaroth, it may be hard to trace it back to its origin, even through Irminsul. So, in the end, the Traveler's sibling is both dead and not dead. Their will as a descender would have been taken away into the past to create the Gnoses, leaving behind their body. Since this is still the body of a descender, they were able to resonate with the elements of Teyvat and use their powers. For now, their goal may be to regain their complete will by overthrowing the Divine Thrones to obtain the 7 Gnoses. If this is the case, then we could see them come back into the main story sooner than we may think. Once we get to Natlan, the Fatui will be able to obtain the Pyronosis, which is the last one they need. By the time we get to Snezhnaya, all 7 Gnoses will be in one place. Our sibling could use this opportunity to regain their will, or alternatively, this could have been the Ceresis' plan all along. She may want to use the 7 Gnoses to revive the 3rd descender, or even use their will herself to take Celestia down. If our sibling is able to retrieve their will, then Celestia would have 2 descenders fighting against them. Still, I don't think our direct fight with Celestia will be in Snezhnaya's Archon quests. Instead, I believe that we could have multiple stories between Snezhnaya and Khaenri'ah that involve us going around to the previous nations to awaken the sovereigns and prepare for a war. Anyways, that's pretty much it for my thoughts on the origin of the Gnoses and the fate of the 3rd descender. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on topics like this, I recommend my recent video on visions and the power they could hold, as well as my recent video on Natlan speculations. Of course, I definitely want to make more videos that further discuss the topics I mentioned in this video. More Natlan speculations will be coming in a few weeks, but in the meantime, I would like to make videos about what the Ceresis' plan with the Gnoses could be, as well as future stories in previous nations. I would love to hear what ideas you guys have about the Gnoses and the 3rd descender in the comments below as well. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Sources and further readings are also in the description if you want to check them out. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all in the next video.